Hey, how's it going? Sports bettors, Matt here with OddsJam. In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 NFL bets that I have already locked in for week 8 of the NFL season. So I'm recording this on Tuesday, so definitely earlier in the week. But if you can take advantage of early line movement, early line changes, then you can find some pretty profitable bets. Before I get into it, I just want to do another recap of week 7. This will be the last time that I do this for this week. Just want to make sure that people have a constant just update of how things are going week to week. Last week was bad. No way around it. My 4 best bets went 1-3. I did manage to win my lock at least, but I lost everything else. The Colts money line was my underdog. They lost and then benched Matt Ryan. Paris Campbell Paris Campbell under 29.5 receiving yards. Suddenly is getting a ton of targets. Lost that one. Ravens team total over 26.5. I thought had a chance because they scored 23 points pretty early. Typical Ravens fashion, couldn't close it out. Bringing my total record for these 4 bets to 12, 11, and 1. Still up, which is good, but up about 0.7 units, which is not so good, but at least we're not losing money. And then sweat the bets. These bets come from the OddsJam podcast, Sweat the Bet, presented by OddsJam. Anywhere you get your podcast from, Apple, Spotify, whatever, you can listen to our Sweat the Bet podcast. 1 and 2 on those last week. At least I can hang my hat on. I didn't have a bad beat. 2 weeks ago, the one that lost was a horrible beat. Last week, just wrong. The Bucks -10, and not only did they not cover, but they got slammed. They lost by 18, bringing my total sweat the bets to 10, 9, and 2. So still a winning record on those, but not as good as we would have liked. But hoping to turn things around for this week and talk to you about the 4 bets that I already locked in. So the first one that I locked in is this Titans -1.5 against the Texans. I put half of a unit on it, which is $50. So for those of you at home looking to unit size this play, it's about half a unit play. I should say all 4 of the bets that I locked in are positive expected value. So I know that they are mathematically profitable, will be profitable in the long run. The no vig odds that you see here, this is calculated by OddsJam. The way it works is they collected a ton of data. They back tested thousands of betting opportunities, used that information to determine what sportsbooks are the sharpest in terms of pricing odds. Once they determined that, they just removed the vig from all of those sharp sportsbooks to find the true odds, the fair line for what a market should be priced at, which is exactly what you see here in this Tennessee Titans -1.5. The OddsJam line prices this at -103. We can get it at +100 on Caesars. So the gap between these two numbers is where you get your positive expected value. The implied odds that OddsJam calculates gives this roughly just below a 51% win percentage, 50.75. And the +100 odds that Caesars is offering reflects a 50-50 win percentage. So the gap between those two win percentages is another way of thinking about positive expected value. Another thing that I like to do is just look at where other books price this play. So +100 is what we're getting on Caesars. Every other book that prices this -1.5 either has it at roughly 50-50 or favors the Titans. PointsBet has them at -120. The other side, the Texans side, -110. DraftKings, same thing, -117. The other side, -110. Tipico, same thing. BetOnline, sharp sportsbook, favors the Titans at this number, as does Pinnacle, which is the sharpest sportsbook in the world. And if you open this page up in a new tab, you will see where every other book prices this play at. And we can see that books are pricing it either at 2 or 2.5, depending on where you look. So this -1.5 is beating the closing line by a point or by half a point or a full point, depending on where you look. So another example of kind of where you're getting your value from, obviously, betting on spreads and totals. If you look at every single sportsbook and what they price these markets at, these plays at, you can find some discrepancies, which is exactly what we're doing here. In terms of the matchup itself, I'll be honest, I was surprised that the Titans were only 1.5 point favorites. My guess is it's because the injury to Ryan Tannehill, he's nursing an ankle injury. He only missed one play. The guess here is that he's going to play in this game. And then the matchup, I mean, the Texans just got routed by the Raiders last week. The Texans have the worst run defense in the entire NFL, and the Titans have Derrick Henry. They've also won 4 straight. So I think that the Titans are a pretty good play here at -1.5, and getting them at plus 100 money, I think is a great value. So half a unit play on this one as the first one that I locked in. The next one that I locked in is actually the under on Monday Night Football between the Bengals and the Browns. So this play is under 47.5 at -110 odds on WinBet. Another play in which we're getting a pretty good line. From an odds perspective, no big odds, price this at -111. WinBet giving it to you at -110. And if you open this one up in an event page, you can see where every other book prices it. So we got the under at 47.5, and every single book that prices it either has it at 47 or 46.5. Again, a full point or half a point lower than what we are getting the play at WinBet. Other things that I like to look for, Bookmaker is a pretty sharp sports book, prices this at 47 and favors the under. Granted, they don't favor it by a ton, but they still do favor it. And then BetOnline prices it at 46.5, another sharp sports book. And then, of course, Pinnacle is the sharpest sports book in the world, prices this at about 46.5, a full point lower. So tons of value getting this to go under. The Bengals offense has been hit or miss this year. They have 4 games in which they've scored 27 plus. The other 3 games, they hadn't even scored 20. So it's hard to know what you're going to get from the Bengals offense. I will say the last 2 weeks, they've been absolutely on fire. Smashed the Falcons, smashed the Saints. But the problem with the Saints offense has always been their offensive line, right? And if the Browns can get Jadeveon Clowney, can get Myles Garrett healthy, maybe they can wreak some havoc on Joe Burrow. Maybe he doesn't have a ton of success. And then on the other side, I mean, the Browns have lost 4 straight. They've lost 5 of 6, just pretty much in the midst of a train wreck season. So I love the under in this one. I put a half a unit on this one as well, under 47.5, -110 at WinBet. The next one, and this one I put a full unit on, is the Eagles Steelers under 44. I actually got this I got it at 2 numbers, 44.5 and 44. I still like it at 44. I put a full unit on it, as I mentioned. So right now it's available at -111 at PlayUp. No big odds have this priced a little bit above that, -111.27. And then same thing. Let's compare where every book prices this total at. 43.5 or 43. We got it at 44. The Steelers, offensively challenged, as everybody knows. They scored 10 points last week against the Dolphins, and that was with getting the ball down. That was with some pretty gross offense on the other side by the Dolphins. Granted, they did drop a bunch of interceptions, which probably changes that game, but gross offense for the Steelers. Their defense is pretty good. As I mentioned, they should have had, 5 interceptions against Tua last week. The week before, they did a pretty good job shutting it down Tom Brady. Granted, I mean, Tom Brady and the Bucs have been terrible this season, so who knows how impressive that is. And then on the Eagles side, great defense, second-rated defense in DVOA. But what they have been doing this season is getting out to large leads and then pretty much sitting on that lead. So they have become pretty stagnant in the second half of games, content to not run up the score, content to just play ball control offense. The past 2 weeks alone, they've had long drives in the second half that they barely passed the ball. They just kept running it and running it. So if the Eagles get out to a 10-point lead, and they're like 10-point favorites in this game, so they're projected to do that. So if they get out to a 10-point lead in the first half, I don't think that the Steelers will be able to pass their way back and score points. And I don't think the Eagles are going to be aggressively trying to score either. They're just going to run the ball. So the Eagles under 44, Eagles Steelers under 44 is my third play, my favorite one that I put a full unit on. And the last one is another under. Vikings versus Cardinals under 49.5, -109 on PlayUp. Same logic here. I'm going to open up the event page and you're going to see that every sportsbook prices it below this number. So if you scroll down, PlayUp is giving it to you at 49.5. Look where all these other books price it, 49 or 48.5. Pretty standard across the board that this 49.5 is a clear outlier. The Vikings just had their bye week, so we haven't seen them in 2 weeks. But their offense has been kind of hit or miss. They've had some great games. They've had some clunkers. The Cardinals are a weird team where they just scored 42 points last week, but back-to-back pick sixes kind of inflates that number. On the season as a whole, their offense has been pretty dreadful. And maybe getting Hopkins back, they're just going to be a different offense, but I don't necessarily buy it. 49.5 is a lot of points. Maybe the Vikings have a little bit of rust off their bye week. The Cardinals are as bad as we think they are. So I can understand why this one is a play to go under. I got it for half a unit. I put $50 on this as well. And that's it. Those are my 4 bets that I've already locked in for the NFL season. Let me know if you're tailing, comment on the video with feedback, but that's it. So thanks for watching and have a good one.